All right, so in this video, we're going to continue using slope intercept form of a line, but we're evolving it just a little bit. So now they're not giving us slope and intercept specifically in writing, they're giving us a graph. So with this one, I can see here's my intercept, meaning this is where I'm crossing the y-axis. That's literally what intercept means, is I want to know, where do I cross this line right here? Well, I cross it at 0, 0. So my y-intercept is 0. So I can go ahead and write that on here. And we also want to remember which one of these letters represents the y-intercept. So x and y, those are literally a coordinate. That's what x and y represent. So I'll actually write that up above here. So those represent a literal coordinate. Like 0, 0 would be a coordinate. M represents slope, and B represents the y-intercept. Okay, so I already have my plus B. I know my plus B is going to be 0. I need to know what my slope is in order to write this equation, because x and y stay x and y in the equation. The only thing that's going to change are the slope and the y-intercept. So it's going to be plus 0, and I need to know what my slope is. So I need to know, to get from here to here, what is my slope. So I want to know, how far down did I drop? So if I go down, down, down like this, so I'm on the same line as this point, I dropped 6, so that's my rise, and really I'm falling, but rise means up or down. And then I want to know, how far over did I go to get from this point over to this point. So since I'm at 0, I just count over and say, okay, this is 8, right? So I went down 6, right 8. So my slope is -6 over 8. Now, they're going to want you to simplify this, because 6 and 8 can both divide by 2, like this. So I'm going to get -6 divided by 2 is -3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my slope is -3/4. So I just plug this in, like this, and now I have my equation as well. So it's -3/4 times x plus 0. The trick is here, I don't really need the plus 0. I can actually drop that off of my equation, because anything plus 0 is 0, or is itself. That's the identity property of addition. So I don't really need that plus 0 on there. I don't think Alex would mark you wrong for putting plus 0, but it's really not necessary. We do not need it. All right, so for the very next piece, we're going to be looking at still the same idea as far as y-intercept. So we're going to take a step back to the last chapter, and we focused on, this is starting point. So these are the words that I really like to connect to it. So starting point and change. So those were words that I was trying to connect as we were working through direct variations and arithmetic sequences and proportional relationships. I was trying to relate the idea that we need somewhere to start, and we need to know how we're moving forward from that starting point, which is our change. So this was very intentional, right? So we were preparing for this slope intercept form the whole time. So the starting point is where the graph crosses the y-axis, which we call the y-intercept. So just like this one, this is our starting point. Where does it cross that y-axis? And the change is the constant rate of change, or the slope. That's another way to kind of refer to it. Slope is much more common, I think. So change is just a very simple way of, what am I changing by? How am I getting from this point to this point? And we want to know that in terms of slope. We look at rise and run. How did I get there? How did I go from here to here? Well, I went down 6 and right 8. That's how I got there. So now we're just going to identify the pieces straight from this equation. So this one's definitely nice because we've already identified slope and intercept. So this is my slope. This is my y-intercept. So all I have to do is fill these in. So my slope is 2. And it would be 2 over 1 when we were doing that. So remember, if I have an integer with nothing underneath it, a 1's going to be under it. So if I were actually graphing this, I would go up 2 and right 1. So that's how we would use that direction system. And my y-intercept would be -8 because that's where we'd start. This is a b. For some reason that started to look like a 6. So this would be my starting point. So I would literally take the graph, I go down to -8. From there, I'd go up 2 and over 1. So you start here. That's why we call it the starting point. And then we use the slope from that point to move from point to point. All right, so using a line that's in standard form. So standard form is ax plus by equals c. So this looks different than y equals mx plus b. Believe it or not, it's using the exact same numbers. We can actually convert one to the other. They're just different forms. Standard form is not my favorite, mainly because you can't just grab information from it very quickly. So what I'm having you do first is convert this into slope intercept form. And it's really easy to do that. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to solve for y. That's how we convert it. So all I have to do is move this piece that's on the same side to the other side. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. Anything minus itself, even with a variable, -2x plus 2x cancels out. It becomes 0. Y equals 2x plus 2. So now I'm in slope intercept form, and I can very easily use that form to find slope and intercept. So here's my slope, and here's my y-intercept. Well, now I can graph the line. I've got my points, or I've got my directions anyway. So I'm going to start here. So start here. So I'm going to go to the middle, and I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, because it's +2. +2. There we go. And then I'm going to use my slope of 2 from that point. And remember, it's 2 over 1, just like we just did here. So I'm going to go up 2, right 1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1. And I can do this as many times as I would feel like. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. So I can keep going like that if I really felt like it. I could even go backwards, and I could go down 2 and left 1. As long as, because down is negative and left is negative, so 2 negatives still make a positive. I know it sounds funny, but you can go backwards on that. So let's see, right about like that. And we graphed a line. All right. So that is using slope intercept, either creating an equation or using the equation to find slope and y-intercept. So go ahead and go on, Alex, and give that a try.